for his team, saying, quote, "We're not satisfied. We expected to be here." The Browns will open the playoffs on the road against the division rival Steelers on Sunday night, but Cleveland just got news that head coach Kevin Stefanski has tested positive for COVID, which means special teams coach Mike Prefer will serve as acting head coach. This is breaking news there, guys. But Shannon, how will this affect Stefanski and the Browns to not have him able to coach on Sunday?
He calls the plays.
Yep.
That's a big difference. There's one thing, Skip, if there was an offensive coordinator that called the plays and Kevin Stefanski just oversaw everything. But that's not what Bruce Arians being out, Skip, that's a whole different ballgame. Because Byron Leftwich calls the plays.
Yep.
You can find somebody to oversee everything. Okay, this is how we're going to challenge it. Bruce Arians will brief everybody. Okay, challenge certain situations. This is how we're going to do it. But Stefanski calls the plays.
Yep.
This is a whole different ball game. And the way he might call a game, as opposed to who, if the special teams coach, or I don't know who's going to call the game now, it's totally different, Skip, because they might be seeing things differently.
Yep.
So this is a huge deal for Baker Mayfield. So, and I like what Baker said. Baker says, hey, we expected to be here. We have bigger fish to fry. I love that talking, but I think he's going to see Pittsburgh as a different animal. Pittsburgh feel very good. They're like, hold on, bro. We were a 2-point conversion from tying this thing up with Mason Rudolph. With no T.J. Watt, no Ben Roethlisberger, a lot of our weapons, no Cam Hayward. So we feel very good with where we are seeing you guys again. And don't forget, y'all still the little brother. That's how they look, Skip. That's how they look at Cleveland. They look at Cleveland as a little brother. You won a game, and now all of a sudden you think you big brother. You're not. So.
Okay, so I was obviously a big Baker fan going into the draft. I said take him first overall. They did, shock to many people. You got on the bandwagon for a little while. Now you're pretty much off the bandwagon.
I'm on Josh Allen's bandwagon.
Okay. Over the last 10 games, something has happened to Baker Mayfield because he's gone through so many coordinators and head coaches in his very brief NFL career so far that suddenly he found a comfort zone with Kevin Stefanski. Obviously, the running game and the defense had something to do with that, but he found a comfort zone that he hasn't had since Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma.
Right.
And nobody can call plays better than Lincoln Riley can. And Stefanski has been highly impressive to me because I still say they're going to go as far as the passing game takes them. As great as their running game has been over these 10 games, they've ranked 10th in rushing yards. So it hasn't been like they're first or second in rushing yards.
What are they ranking in passing?
Okay, well, Baker Mayfield has 16 touchdowns to 2 interceptions over the last 10 games. And you cannot tell me that it was just pure coincidence that this happened without Odell, because Odell went down early in that Cincinnati game. That's 10 games back. And here they went. 7-3 over those 10 games. And again, your favorite website, Pro Football Focus, ranked Baker over those 10 games the 5th best quarterback in the league. So he's playing at a top 5 level very quietly over 10 games. 16 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. They are going as the quarterback goes because many of those games were won with him throwing more than you thought he should be throwing.
Obviously, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, they made the playoffs. The Browns are 3rd in rushing. And they're 24th in passing. What position did Baker play?
Yeah,
running back or quarterback?
But what happened over those 10? Because that's when they took off, was over the 10 games. They were struggling up until then. I told you, he got so Odell conscious, Odell centric. I got to get the ball to Odell. And the defense is saying, we're not going to give you Odell, and I'm going to force it to him anyway. And it was disastrous. It was disastrous last year, and it was disastrous early this year. And all of a sudden, things clarified with Jarvis as the go-to receiver and get Higgins back in the mix more and throw the ball, spread the wealth a little bit. Yes, everybody. The rookie, obviously, from Michigan. And all of a sudden, they look like an offense. They look like a football team. And Stefanski had a lot to do with that because he called the game with a rhythm that Baker had missed since he was at Oklahoma.
But, Skip, if you think about it, Cleveland is the best offensive line, the thread-burst running attack, the 24th.
They've got an offensive line.
Now, but Skip, Baker is 30th in completion percentage and 17th in yards per attempt. That's not, you don't go to the playoffs with that.
Okay, you go because you had a 10-game stretch where you threw 16 touchdowns to 2 interceptions.
So what are we going to do about Nick Chubb?
Okay, and before he threw the first interception in that stretch, he had gone, what was it, 187 straight passes? Yeah, 187 straight attempts with no interception. He has cleaned up his act.
So you believe in order for them to win the game, Baker's going to have to throw them the victory.
Absolutely. In the end, you're going to go as far as his arm will take you and his legs because he can move.
Okay.
All right? So we'll see. I agree with you. Do I love this without Kevin? No, I don't.
No.
Because you go out and you don't have your security blanket anymore. Are you going to trust the voice in your ear now?
I mean, how you go from one guy calling the play to somebody that's never, I don't know if the guy that's going to call the plays has ever called plays before. In a playoff game, your first game of calling plays, Skip. It's not the preseason, not a regular season game, it's playoff.
It's your arch rival in their place.
Right. And this is your first time making the playoffs in 17 years?
Yeah.
Because we supposed that they beat the Falcons. We were cheering for the Falcons to beat them, and I think Vic was on that team. I think Vic might have fumbled the ball. They went for it on 4th down, and I don't think they got it.
Yep.
I think that's what happened. I think Warwick Dunn was there then, and they ended up not getting it on 4th down. But they would have been 18 years because we got the playoffs.
Okay, but you didn't, and they did. So here
But we got the playoffs after that. They had been in 17 years.
Okay. I still, again, will he have a good game against a Pittsburgh defense that you have some questions about? Because obviously they're injury riddled, right? Mm-hmm. They lost Bud Dupree. They lost Devin Bush. So I still expect Baker to play well. Would I pick them to win this game? Not under this circumstance,
No,
I would.
I would not.
Yep.
I wasn't going to pick them if they had Stefanski.
Oh, that's a tough blow right now for this team. And I'm
having to shake and bake.
Josh Allen,
and Tampa are clicking on all cylinders heading into their game against the Washington football team. After dropping back-to-back games against the Rams and the Chiefs, the Bucs won 4 in a row to close the season. And in Sunday's victory, Brady threw his 40th touchdown pass of the year, the second best total of his career, and the best ever total for a quarterback over the age of 40. Eric Dickerson is still with us. Eric, please give Tom a letter grade for his performance this year. It's been special, Edie.
Well, before I give him his grade, I'm gonna tell you why I gave him the grade. First of all, I'm grading him on the curve. You have a COVID year. You had no preseason at all. He did throw over 40 touchdowns. He's top 3 in all categories. A new offense, a new head coach, new players, a new surrounding. They did not win the division, but they're in the playoffs. Lost to the Saints, bad. The last time, lost both games, but the last time they lost very badly. Didn't play well in prime time. But saying that to say this, not even at 43 years old, he was 23 years old. I give Tom Brady an A- on his season this year. I think he played fantastic. I know he probably wanted to play a lot better, but for me, the way Tom played, and right now, when you look at the quarterback position, the days of the drop back quarterback is over. The guy that stands there like a statue. Those days, you have to have a guy that can run and throw, like a Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. That's the new age quarterback, the guy that can run roll out of the pocket, and also, win with his legs. But for me, I have to say, through everything that Tom Brady has went through this year, the whole NFL has went through. But him moving teams, I give Tom Brady an A- on his play this year.
I gave him a B, and I told you yesterday I had given him a B for the season. I give him credit. He put up better numbers. He played absolutely better than I thought he would. But I'm not going to get carried away with 40 touchdown passes because 30 came against non-playoff teams. Tom Brady went 1-5 against teams that are in the playoffs. He threw 10 touchdowns with 9 interceptions. He was 30-3 against non-playoff teams. Now, and everybody in pro football players said, Tom Brady, he's scorching hot the last month of the season. Now, let me tell you the teams that he beat the last month of the season. He played the Falcons twice. They have the 32nd ranked pass defense in the NFL, ED. He played the Minnesota.
Wait, what did they do at Kansas City?
Well, time out, Skip. I'm going to let you have your turn. They played the Minnesota Vikings, and they